Hello and welcome to the Police. I am AC Bearden and I am your host and want to talk to you today about the situation going on with Jonathan Majors, the Creed 3 or Ant-Man star who has recently has been rising through the ranks of Disney and who is just everywhere. Even the Army has picked him up as part of their recruitment program and using him on the commercials and everything.
In your entertainment news, actor Jonathan Majors was arrested in Manhattan after the NYPD says he's being accused of a domestic dispute. Police say a 911 call made from an apartment in Chelsea early Saturday morning led to the arrest. At this hour, he is now facing strangulation, assault, and harassment charges. A spokesperson for Majors denied any wrongdoing.
Well, over the weekend, he was arrested for a domestic dispute with a female that he lives with, and it was determined that he assaulted her, causing visible injuries to her cheek or behind her ear, and also some bruising around her neck. He was arrested, charged, and was arraigned, which means a judge has heard the evidence and was convinced that there was enough evidence to bring charges. And he has since been released on his own recognizance with a protective order in place, which means he's been basically ordered to stay away or ordered not to have any more contact or violent contact with the victim. Now, tons of stuff that is disputed on this, and one way or the other. The side that I want to talk about is the side that involves the police and the investigation, because what I am seeing is a lot of people talking about how there's no way that he had done this. There is, he had called the police, and how can they arrest him if he called them? And certainly there's something afoot here, and all the, tinfoil hat stuff is coming out, and that, this is some kind of conspiracy theory against him. I want to kind of focus on the fact that the police had no dog in this fight. They literally were called to the scene and responded to this and went into police mode, taking statements from victims and witnesses and complainants and everything, and developed this case from everything that was there, and then made the charge. Now, the attorney for Mr. Majors is saying that the police had to make an arrest and that there was no other choice. They made this because New York law requires it. This is a half truth. It's not 100% true. I've done some research. I am very familiar with family violence law here in my state, but I also did some research in New York. And basically, what it says is that if a felony has occurred, that an arrest needs to be made in an action where family violence is deemed as part of the action. So basically, if you assault someone or do something that you live with or cohabitate with or in relationship with or have in the past, and you commit a felony, you have to be arrested. Period. The law says that the police don't have an option there. That's a lot different than saying that you have to arrest somebody if an incident of family violence occurs. Because what we're looking at is the fact that someone who commits a felony, you literally are gathering the evidence that this particular person has committed a felony, and you need to make this arrest under the Family Violence Act. So when her attorney says that the only reason that the police made this was arrest was because they were required to, that's kind of a half truth. It's not particularly true. Um, the way she said it, it made it sound like the police were just going out and just because there was an act of family violence, they had to put someone in jail, so they put him in jail. Not true. Doesn't work that way. And in all honesty, again, remember, the police didn't have a dog in this fight, and they knew that this was going to be a high profile case. They knew that it was going to be under a lot of scrutiny. They knew that he was a up and coming star, that he was rich, that he was powerful, that everyone was looking at him. I promise you, this was not two road cops going in there and making decisions on this. Supervisors were called, their supervisors were called, and it probably went all the way up to, the district attorney's office during the point of the investigation, so that everything that was gathered would have been gathered at the time of the incident so that there wouldn't have been any mistakes. When you look at this and you make this assumption that the police are acting the way that you know, oh well, this is the way the police do. They're always out there looking to get somebody, and there is no way, knowing what this case was going to bring on as far as the media coverage and stuff like that, that the cops are just going to go at this haphazardly and not have the evidence that they need. Now, I'm not saying that he's guilty or not saying that he will be found guilty. What I am saying is that the police had enough evidence to arrest him, and that is all that they are required to do, is to present that and to move on. When we as public are looking outside in, we make this assumption that the police are hiding something because they're not releasing anything, and they don't have all. They can't release it during an investigation like this, because it creates a situation where there may be some grounds for the offender to say, the police made sure that the public made up their mind. There's no way that I could have a fair trial. They released all this information to the public, and the public, made this decision about me, and there's no way I could have had a fair trial. So again, when you're looking at this and you're saying, well, why isn't the police releasing the video? And why aren't the police doing this? And why don't we see body cam? And why don't we see her face? And why don't we see this? They can't do that because it's creating this image of guilt that will make it to where Mr. Majors can't have a fair trial. So don't assume that because you don't see it that it ain't there. I promise you, the police are not moving forward without this kind of evidence. Um, it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. It's going to be, one of those things that, we're going to follow over a while, and I, I, I I hope it works out for whoever is in the right of this. I will say this, um, as a man, if I was in a relationship where it was to that point, it's time to put some space in that relationship. Um, I wouldn't be in a situation where I was going to be, you know, f- forced to be in a confrontation when there's so much that's going to be lost on either side because of this. And again, I'm not excusing him, and I'm not defending her, and vice versa. I'm not excusing her and defending him. What I'm saying is that this man is literally right on the precipice of mega stardom. He's superstar now. He could be mega stardom, and all that may go down the drain because of emotional charged incidents where someone is upset about something that literally 10 years from now, 3 years from now, 2 years from now is not going to make a difference. So, you know, and again, it's kind of hard to look at this and not say, why do men do this? Why do men get in a situation where they're like that? Why do they, you know, mistreat or whatever like that? And again, some people will say, well, they were hit first, or they were in this situation first. You're a grown man. Walk away. Walk out the door. This Mr. Majors has got all the money in the world that he could ever spend. There's no excuse for being in a situation where someone is not going to be a partner to you. And again, I I don't know the whole situation with the relationship, but I do see that it is an issue. So tell me what you think. Give me your likes and comments. We're gonna follow this. We're gonna keep putting out stuff on it and see where it goes. But again, I am super super interested in the fact that this is coming to light, and I want you guys to hold your tongues on the police and stop assuming that the police have got this huge conspiracy theory against everybody. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't happen that way. The police are not out to, destroy people. Everyone that they put their hands on, they're there to, destroy their lives or whatever. They literally follow the evidence, and they were called to this incident. It wasn't a situation where they ran into him on the street. Um, Police, the whole industry is changing, and I think this is part of it. The fact that the community at large has this view of the police where they think that the police are going to act inappropriate in every instance, that the police are going to mess it up, that the police are going to, you know, uh, automatically assume the wrong way or destroy the hero and go for the villain or I mean, there's always this assumption, at least partially in society, where the police are demonized over anything and everything that they do. Where does this lead? This goes down a path that I don't know we want to go down because, and we're going to get into this on this channel. I'm going to talk to you about, where the police came from and where they're at right now, but where they're going along this incident and incidents like this, it creates a situation where there's absolutely no trust. Now, if this is true, if you can't trust the police ever, then how can you ever have a case brought against you? If there's always bias by the police, if there's always, you know, something that they're doing wrong in every single case, then how can you ever be found guilty of anything? Because remember, guilt is not actually being caught doing something or the fact that you did do something. Guilt is the fact that you were found to be guilty by a judge or a jury. We've seen cases, tons of cases, where it swings one way or the other, you know, because. And if that's the truth, if we're not talking about an absolute guilt, we're talking about the the act of finding someone guilty, and you're saying that the police are always corrupt, then no one is ever guilty because the police are always corrupt, and that immediately taints every case out there, doesn't it? Let me know what your thoughts are, and like I said, we'll keep diving into it. Thanks for listening, and give that like and subscribe as a thumb up.